Hello, Neighbor here. I want to explain something very simple. Not emotional, not political, not religious, but just logical. I'm about to explain is not an opinion or speculation. It's a contradiction that's already happened, and its contradictions don't just disappear because authorities say so. Here are the facts that have not been disputed. There's a story here for a trial that happened called Nicole Jones versus South Dakota. And the facts have not been disputed, which is there was a joint bank account, two lawful account holders, equal legal access, equal control. The account was opened under my social security number. My name is Nathan Joseph Jones. The state used that joint account as evidence of theft. Again, a joint account. The state used that joint account, which I'm the lawful owner, as evidence of theft, which the state never charged me, never questioned me, never named me in the warrant, which was a one-name warrant, never treated me as a suspect or even as a witness. No forensic tracing was done. No marked bills were no marked bills. No exclusive access evidence. No separation of funds. The money was cash that I lawfully won on a federal unemployment settlement with an employer in 2022. And that settlement was in the amount of $19,574.62. Now, since there was no separation of funds and the money was cash, which is fungibility by definition, and the case ended in an acquittal, and these are the facts. My wife was acquitted. A joint account is not a single owner account. Joint means equal access, equal control, equal legal standing. If you're going to say the account is criminal, you have to explain how and who. You just can't pick one person and pretend the other doesn't exist. In this case, that did happen. By the actions, the state of South Dakota was saying three things at one time. One, the money in the joint account is stolen. Two, the owner of the account is irrelevant. Three, no evidence required to separate guilt. These three statements cannot all be true, but in this case, they were saying it is true. There is a basic rule of logic that applies everywhere, and it's within science, math, religion, law, everywhere, especially in computers, which I build computers for a living when I'm not taking care of my child who has Islamic syndrome. Something cannot be true and not true at the same time in the same way. Either the account is criminal, the account I owned is criminal, or it isn't. Either ownership matters or it doesn't. In this case, it didn't matter. They just picked whoever they wanted to. You cannot say this account is stolen at the same time say the owner doesn't matter. That's a contradiction. But in this case, they didn't care what mattered. Contradiction, no contradiction. Which reminds me of a dilemma. I believe it was a dilemma called the Islamic dilemma, I think it's called. Hmm, maybe. Anyways, that's a contradiction. And why cash matters is worse because cash is fungible. $1 bill is extinguishable from another unless you trace it. There was no tracing done. So the claim becomes this cash is stolen, but that identical cash is not. That's not evidence, which of course it's not. That's special pleading, which in this case is huge special pleading. More in the lines of my opinion, nepotism. But when you remove the owner, but keep the accusation against a subsidy on your account, in my opinion, you're left with this. The money committed a crime, an account committed a crime, so therefore a non-crime committed a crime. That's not how law works. Crimes require actors, but in this case, it didn't matter. It is what it is because they say what it is. Trust me, bro. That's how it works, I guess. I guess an account can be corrupted and not corrupted at the same time, and used as a joint account when it's and used as a single account when it's a joint account. So, in this aspect, it parallels what I thought before would be called the Islamic dilemma. This is why it's like the Islamic dilemma. That dilemma works because it shows a structure where something is affirmed as true and denied as true. At the same time, authority can't fix that. Rewording can't fix that. And the same is true here. You cannot affirm criminality while denying ownership is relevance, which in this case, I was non existent. Even though I owned it, I didn't exist in their eyes. And this happened in a trial, like I said, Nicole Jones for the state of South Dakota. July 11th of 2023 is when this happened. And I think it's parallels the Islamic dilemma very well. And like I said, something is affirmed as true and denied as true at the same time. And my account was called stolen and not stolen at the same time, even though it's my wife of 22 years. You cannot affirm criminality while denying ownership, so I don't understand how the cash was only associated to my wife when it wasn't associated to me when I was the owner. Make that make sense. I wish David would chime in. He would make it make sense, or Avery or somebody, because if the courts are using some type of, I don't know how you would word it, Islamic parallel structure to get around logic. I mean, Nicole Jones versus state of South Dakota, which is it's public knowledge, already happened. And this is not speculation. This is not guessing about motives. This is not assuming emotions. These are actions that already happened. And I'm not asking why they did. I'm showing that what they did cannot logically coexist. But just like in Islamic dilemma, it doesn't matter. And at the end, my wife was acquitted, and it's only going to make sense because the jury they needed only common sense to see they saw that money. There was no tracing of cash. Um, no owner of the account. The owner was me, but I wasn't on trial. They tried a subsidy of the account, which was my wife. They just selected my wife because I sued the same people that were saying my unemployment claim was stolen by the federal government. So I stole the federal government funds the federal government gave me. How does that, uh, can someone make sense? And even on top of that, my son, who has Phelan-McDermott syndrome, collects Social Security, which in the same sense, if you search his account, which his funds are, his Social Security is my account, would be called stolen as well. So is it possible to call Social Security stolen funds? But sorry, I'm getting off sidetrack, but the jury didn't need to see that that it was obvious that it was just a selective blame because the owner of the account that was being accused was never put on trial. So there was no reasonable doubt and there was no probable cause, because how could they not charge the owner but just charge someone else on the account who happened to be my wife. So the bottom line is that joint account cannot be criminal and innocent, as well as evidence and irrelevance, stolen and protected at the same time. It's not a legal opinion, that's logic, and no authority can override that in this case. In this case, the facts speak for itself. I don't have to make any assumptions or make any excuses for what transpired. It's watch what they do, not what they say. And in this case, you have a warrant with one named party trying to access a no-name party, which therefore you have a non-crime committed a crime. And this isn't about anger or about my belief, which I know the Bible to be true in the Islamic dilemma. That argument has helped my case out tremendously, which the same people I'm fighting. It's the third time. Once was a federal unemployment claim, and then the second was they called the police on me because I took them to court in federal unemployment, and then the um, third time is just a civil case to acquire my any funds I paid the lawyer, which is another issue back. But at the end of the day, contradictions don't become true because the court says so. Until that contradiction is resolved, nothing built on it can ever make any sense. So with that being said, the Islamic dilemma uh, parallels with Cal Nicole Jones versus the state of South Dakota. And I want to thank all those Apologetics, Avery, David Wood, Apostate Paul, Inspiring Philosophy. You may not know me. I'm just a father with 7 kids, one with Phelan-McDermott syndrome, and I'm just trying to help out any way I can. And this is an actual trial. It happened. It's already done with, and now I'm fighting it uh, as if using the argument from the Islamic dilemma. Like I said, it parallels is because they're saying something has affirmed is true, that I'm a thief, but I'm not a thief, and denying me at the same time, and they're trying to fix it, which doesn't make any sense. So um, I'm going to write more of a detailed parallel to the Islamic dilemma and the Colin Nicole Jones case versus Colin Nicole Jones versus state of South Dakota, plus the upcoming civil trial for this particular issue, and that the state and the people representing in the civil trial that I have to represent myself. I do not want to pay another lawyer another $27,000 for a lawyer who basically just let my wife defend herself and didn't even challenge the warrant, because the main issue is the warrant had one name and didn't have my name on it. So how does it make sense for a joint account to be treated as a one user when I'm the owner and I wasn't even on trial for the account? So therefore my account is corrupted with my wife and I'm not corrupted on the same joint account. So can it be true at the same time? David Wood, Avery, anybody with some logic here? Can it be true on a joint bank account that your wife would be a thief and you not a thief at the same time, at the same time, but you don't go to trial and your wife goes to trial and of course is acquitted because it doesn't make sense. But what would you think if this was the same situation, that someone, which most, I believe, Muslims from watching all your videos um, in the Islamic dilemma shows that these beliefs, maybe possibly the authorities that took this investigation, maybe possibly isn't as Muslim. I don't know, because I can't understand the logic and the choices that they made. But anyways, the Islamic dilemma is real, even in our courts. Please make that make sense. Facts, not feelings. Have a good day. Thank you.